I think we're all still feeling the effects of John Cena turning heel. I am still in complete shock over it all. John Cena aligned himself with The Rock and of course turned his back on the WWE fans and also the WWE locker room. But speaking in non-kayfabe terms, John Cena has actually had his fair share of locker room enemies in his time in the WWE. And that comes with the territory. He's one of the biggest stars in wrestling history and an influential name backstage, so he's naturally gonna have a lot of people that rub him the wrong way and vice versa. And today we're gonna talk about a few of those cases as we talk about the enemies that John Cena has made backstage in his WWE career. Like the video and let's begin. Ken Anderson joined the WWE system in 2005 and he'd break out onto SmackDown in the same year under the ring name of Mr. Kennedy. And his gimmick and his character were very interesting, and it would see him with his entrance grab a microphone in the ring and give a big speech to the crowd before the match, and Mr. Kennedy was a very good promo and as a result got pretty over in his time in the WWE with the crowd. Mr. Kennedy had an up and down WWE career. He had mid-card title wins with the US title, and he also won Money in the Bank and was looking to be teed up to be the next world champion, but unfortunately he had to drop that due to injury. He was always seen as one of the next guys up for WWE and was set up many times for a big push, only for it to be squandered like it was with Money in the Bank. But a lot of the times it was squandered because of his own actions, and one of the biggest examples of this was the time he was set up to be revealed as Vince McMahon's illegitimate son in storyline, setting himself up for a huge push in the WWE, only for The Rock to get pulled as he was suspended due to a wellness policy violation. And he was ultimately fired from WWE after a botch during a match hurt Randy Orton, and Randy Orton complained backstage, with Kennedy getting fired shortly after. But as it turns out, Randy Orton wasn't the only one to have an issue with Mr. Kennedy backstage, as apparently John Cena did as well. Apparently John Cena had heat with Mr. Kennedy due to an incident that took place during a match between Cena and Kennedy in 2007. As Jim Ross explains the story, during the course of this match, Mr. Kennedy went into business for himself and attempted to encourage the fans to boo John Cena. John Cena is obviously the ultimate babyface and was obviously the babyface in this match here against the heel Mr. Kennedy, so it was a pretty stupid idea and in general quite disrespectful in the business to try get the fans to give the wrong reaction. This ruffled Cena's feathers, who took it personally, and the two men had heat ever since backstage, with amends never being made up until Kennedy's firing. And yeah, with the list of enemies that Mr. Kennedy made backstage in WWE, all kind of by his own actions, it's no wonder that he didn't end up surviving in the WWE. Another wrestler who has heat with John Cena, who we're not going to laugh about for too long, is none other than Ryback, and this shouldn't come as a surprise because he has heat with just about every wrestler. Ryback departed WWE in 2016 and since then has gone on a collision course to burn every bridge possible within the WWE. And that of course includes our boy John Cena, who Ryback has gone on the record to say has been a piece of shit to him ever since day one. This is from Ryback's mouth of course, so take this with a grain of salt, but Ryback claimed that Cena was a poison to the wrestling business and did more negative than good. He claimed that during Ryback's time as a main eventer, Cena had a problem with the huge reactions that Ryback was getting during his undefeated streak, and says that Cena worked backstage to have Ryback moved further down the card, before going on to make the bizarre and very bold claim that the only reason that NXT was started by Triple H to begin with was to protect younger wrestlers from John Cena so they could win matches without having to lose to him. And I think that claim there kind of tells you everything you need to know about the credibility of this story from Ryback. And like I said earlier, Ryback has heat with just about every single person in wrestling, so it's no surprise that he has apparent heat with John Cena as well. In 2007, Kevin Kiley signed a developmental contract with the WWE and would report to their developmental territory, Florida Championship Wrestling, or FCW. He originally started using the ring name of Kevin Kiley, his real name, but in September 2008 he would change his ring name to Carson Oakley. He started teaming with Scotty Goldman, aka Colt Cabana, who challenged the Hart Dynasty for the Florida Tag Team Championships in November unsuccessfully. And then in early December, he would go through another rebrand and another name change, now calling himself Alex Riley, and playing the gimmick of a college football jock. And while in FCW, Alex Riley would win the FCW Florida Heavyweight Championship, defeating Justin Gabriel and Wade Barrett in a triple threat match on March 18th, 2010. He would hold the title until the July 22nd FCW tapings, when he lost the title to Mason Ryan in a triple threat match, also involving Johnny Curtis. Those are some names and a half. On the June 8th episode of NXT and the premiere of season 2 of NXT, back when it was a weird game show, Alex Riley would make his debut, being pro'd by The Miz. Alex Riley did pretty well for himself on the NXT game show. He ended up being the top heel rookie and would come third on the show behind Michael McGillicutty and Caval. But despite not winning, he would join the main roster anyway, becoming The Miz's lackey and The Miz's partner. And Riley actually ended up becoming a pretty big part of WWE television, mainly thanks to the fact that he was there during the time that The Miz cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase to win the WWE title, and he was there during The Miz's championship reign. Heck, he even walked out with him during the main event of WrestleMania 27. Alex Riley was involved in the main event of WrestleMania. On the May 23rd episode of Raw though, The Miz and Alex Riley's alliance came to an end. This was following The Miz losing the WWE Championship and blaming it on Alex Riley, causing Riley to attack him and turn face in the process. The feud would blow off at Capital Punishment 2011, remember that show, with Riley defeating The Miz clean. So yeah, Alex Riley had just defeated the guy that was just WWE Champion clean. And from here, he was a top babyface on the Raw brand. Well, maybe not a top babyface, but he was wrestling in the upper mid card, mixing it up with some big names, and was pretty over with the fans, to be fair to him. However, Alex Riley's push would come to an abrupt end, and apparently it had something to do with a backstage incident and some backstage troubles between himself and none other than John Cena. Arn Anderson, who was an agent in the WWE at the time, recalls the incident saying the following: "He seemed to gel well when they put him with The Miz in 2010, but there's a famous story that he was offered some help from John Cena and seemed less than enthused or interested, which would have immediately made it way back to the locker room and to the office. And I'm sure it was around the time that his water got cut off." In October 2011, Alex Riley suffered a hip injury that left him inactive for a few weeks, and when he came back, he was relegated to the likes of superstars and back to jobber status really. He went on a streak of losing matches in 2012, and after being used as a jobber for pretty much that entire year, he transitioned to a role of being a color commentator instead of a wrestler. He would do this a couple of years while making occasional in-ring appearances at live events, but he was not wrestling on TV, until 2015, when Alex Riley would make his return as an in-ring competitor. It was a storyline that saw him being harassed on commentary by NXT champion Kevin Owens, and he would return to wrestling and would get some wins over the likes of CJ Parker and some other jobbers on the NXT roster, until Kevin Owens and him had matches and Kevin Owens flatlined him and squashed him. And despite the fact he was losing to Kevin Owens, he was still in a good position here. He was doing well for himself back in NXT, but then on May 1st, 2015, it was announced that Alex Riley would be undergoing surgery to fix the degenerative arthritis in his knee. He made his return to NXT 8 months later in a winning effort against Bull Dempsey and turning heel in the process, but then after this he was straight back to losing and being a jobber again, and then he was released from the company on May 6th, 2016. After his release, Riley went inactive in wrestling. He actually got an acting role in the show Glow, but he has made his return to wrestling and is now working for the NWA, going under the name of the Rare Breed Kevin Kiley. Oh, and of course, who can forget Push Rage? My god, what an incredible moment that was. The most infamous enemy of John Cena backstage, as well as the most famous enemy of his backstage, and also his most famous on-screen opponent, and now partner, is of course none other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I look back at John Cena and The Rock's feud for WrestleMania 28 in 2012, and that feud was truly unlike no other in wrestling. I'll never experience anything like that ever again, even if I didn't think the matches delivered that big. I've never seen a WrestleMania main event announced in a year in advance like the way they did it. There was a year's worth of builds to this match, there were TV specials and documentaries all over one match, or I guess 2 matches in the end, because Once in a Lifetime was the biggest lie in WWE history. But the craziest part about this feud between John Cena and The Rock on screen in WWE is that during all of this, The Rock and John Cena apparently had heat with each other backstage for real, as apparently The Rock's Hollywood life was getting in the way of the storyline, and John Cena had issues with how The Rock would appear via satellite rather than in person to build up for their match, questioning his love for wrestling. He also called out The Rock during an in-ring promo segment with the two for having notes on his wrist. This was a move that violated The Rock's trust and led to major tension backstage, as this line from John Cena in this promo in this segment was not scripted to be a part of it, and The Rock was visibly agitated by John Cena breaking the script to embarrass and try to bury him. The two men would obviously work through their issues and would work not only 1, but 2 matches at WrestleMania in the end, like I said. And any tensions between the two was also resolved as Cena apologized years later, after he himself got more active in Hollywood and acting roles and understood The Rock's point of view. And look at them now, eh? The very best of buds. Who would have thought? But guys, that's it from me here on this one. If you did enjoy, then be sure to smack the like button. A little bit of a shorter video today as we were discussing the enemies of John Cena backstage. Defo some interesting stories there. The Alex Riley one was one that always stood out to me because as a kid, I was a big Alex Riley mark for whatever reason. But yeah, like the video if you did enjoy, and comment down below your thoughts on the video and all of John Cena's backstage enemies that he made in his career. And also comment down below what videos you want to see next. Subscribe, notifications on so you never miss a video on the channel. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye and keep on rolling.